Broads Media.
How about that? How about that? I forgot what football even felt like. What a good win for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to talk about it. Before we do, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up button as well for that performance by Jalen Hurts. Come join the party. We have a ton of fun here at Broads Media. And real quickly, if you're looking to go to any NBA, NHL, NFL game, you can use promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout for $20 off. So forget about those fees when you buy your tickets. It's what? Where'd all this come from? Don't worry about it. $20, boom, eliminated. Poof, it's no longer there. You'd be a fool not to utilize it. Promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout. And real quick, also TikTok at Broads Media. We're implementing some cool new things over there, so hit the follow button there too. And with that being said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. It did not start pretty by any means. I'm watching balls hit Dallas Goedert's feet after he misses a wide open play that could have been a massive chunk of yards and a huge gain. And I'm seeing Jalen Hurts miss players all over the field. Wide open throws. Gainwell wide open a couple times, throwing into double coverage to Devontae Smith in the back of the end zone when Gainwell's wide open right in front of him. I mean, he was definitely not reading the field well. His pocket presence wasn't smooth. He's fumbling the football, and Nick Sirianni is getting right in his face. But he responded and played so damn well. He was a weapon after that. He finished 20 of 26 for his completions. And keep in mind, I touched on Dallas Goedert's one drop. He also had another drop later on in the game, which, as phenomenal as Dallas Goedert was, he mossed defenders, and he went up and grabbed the football in double coverage. He was a dog. He was a force. He probably could have had 270 yards. He probably could have had 296 yards. But he just, I don't know, lost some concentration at times, and maybe he saw the wide open field in front of his face and his eyes got wide, and he started to turn his body prior to, fully accomplishing the goal, which is just catching the football. But look, I mean, Jalen Hurts responded so damn well. He's the leader of this football team. Say what you want about Gardner Minshew and the last couple of weeks. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Gardner Minshew's job is to step in there when the starter is not available. And what I think played a big role is the team hasn't played in how long? It's been a long period of time. Then factor in the ankle, and he hasn't been under center or in shotgun or in game mode in so damn long. It took a little bit of time for him to kind of find himself, but for Jalen Hurts turning the page, that offensive line was wow. Wow. I'm watching Lane Johnson up all the way into the play, creating all sorts of space for Jalen Reagor, who made a few plays. How about Jalen Hurts' little touch pass? And in space, he goes up and high points the football. They tried to, and I know that they're going to continue to do this. Nothing's going to change at this point. They tried to force feed him a touchdown when they were in the red zone, and it was actually part of one of their poor sequences that we're going to discuss that happened early stages of the football game. But it looked like he was going to cry. He was on the sidelines, walking down the sidelines, and he was all pissed and all frustrated because he got a couple yard gain and finished a yard or two from the end zone, and it honestly looked like he was going to pout and cry and complain. But he responded with a nice couple of catches, getting back to this offensive line. I know I'm getting sidetracked and I'm going all over the place here, but Jason Kelce's mauling people. He's getting to the point where you watch Miles Sanders explode for a massive gain, and it probably could have been taken to the house. And here's Jason Kelce looking like he's Usain Bolt out there, and he's all upset and pissed off because of the angle Miles Sanders took. He thought if Sanders stayed to the left, he probably scored 7 points, and he's all mad about it. I'm just like, this is beautiful. Nothing that happened happen. Of course, I want to see the touchdown, but this work of art by the offensive line, and there was so much nerves happening involved with everybody because Landon Dickerson was ruled out. And just to be clear, when Zach Berman and all the beat reporters broke the news about Landon Dickerson on Sunday and the COVID protocols and whatnot, he wasn't going to be available for this guy. I talked to a couple other people that cover the team. When they tested him, it wasn't as if the timeline set up for him to play a Sunday afternoon game. So it wasn't as if the pushback based off of the timing of those tests, the pushback, from my knowledge and from the people I was speaking to, it didn't really affect Landon Dickerson not playing or not, because a Sunday afternoon game, when they got the news about Landon Dickerson, wasn't going to be available based off of sort of those timelines. But regardless, Opetta's in there, and there was some sloppiness, don't get me wrong. Did Opeta actually get a penalty? I don't know. He didn't get a penalty. Did he just? Maybe he did. There's so many here. You had Mailata with the bear hug when they went on it on fourth down. That was just silly. Mailata's name was called a couple times. There was another one. There was the Mailata false start. Oh, yeah. Opeta had a holding on a screen pass. That was the one set up beautifully. And I'll tell you what, the head coach, Nick Sirianni, all right, a lot of creativity, loved the formations, loved his style, loved the technique and the game plan and the ideas and the concepts and the beliefs. I loved it all. He got fancy, right? He's throwing Darius Slay out there as a decoy, and he's out there on the offensive side, and you can see the way that he's moving and he's in motion, and that creates a gap for the run game to get going. And there was a nice, huge hole on the defensive side. If you're looking at it from Washington's perspective, their defense, there was a big chunk right there because of all that motion and what it created. So just all around, Nick Sirianni, I thought that he was different and unique and creative and really put a nice bow on some things from a schematic standpoint. And I'll be honest, part of my conversation this week on The Fanatic, and not in a hot takey way. I'm not big on hot takeys. I just fully tell you how I feel. So if you've listened to me and think, well, Broads is being a hot take machine, it's nothing other than actual feelings inside of me and how I truly believe. Nothing's, hey, I'm going to say this and I'm going to take this stand, so then it creates turmoil, this and that. But prior to tonight, I said with Nick Sirianni, I'm more intrigued than not. I'm more positive than negative with Nick Sirianni. Early on, there were things that were malpractice, forcing Jalen Hurts to be this thrower of the football 40 times. It's just not what's best. What's best for this team is your offensive line is unbelievable. Take away what style of running back, quarterback, wide receivers, tight ends. Forget about all that for just one moment. You are lethal because of that amazing front and how they will wax that ass no matter who is in front of them. And I know Montez Sweat was the one that ended up creating some noise, which is unfortunate considering he's the one, in theory, that started this whole debacle that's forcing us to play this damn game on a Tuesday night at the Link when it's raining and it's piss poor weather compared to the alternative, which is a normal damn Sunday. Before you know it, we'll be seeing Mike Lennon play for the Giants. And just to be clear here, not that it was ever really, really, really close, no matter what the scoreboard said. There was never a real fear, even when Nick Sirianni elected to keep the field goal on the board instead of taking points off when the penalty occurred. It was 20-10 in the fourth quarter, and you had two ways to go about it. You keep the field goal there, or you take the points off the board. It's fourth and short, and you go for it to keep your offense chugging along and to try to put them away. But in theory, prior to Jonathan Gannon's defense getting beat, Avonte Maddox having the pass interference call, there was the 30-yard gain that got pulled back, and then they had another big 29-yard gain that pretty much brought them right there in front of the end zone. Before that, I'm okay with Nick Sirianni having this mentality. Well, Gilbert, who stinks, is on the other side. We're in the fourth quarter. I'll take that any day of the week. And there were a lot of people unhappy with it, saying Nick Sirianni made a brutal decision. I don't mind the decision. Now, if they would have went for it, I don't mind that either. It's one of those for me where flip a damn coin. If you want to be aggressive and punch this team in the jaw, have at it. If you want to have the theory of this team stink, and they were right. They were absolutely right. They were wrong because they went back down, took control, scored a touchdown. Greg Ward with the magnificent catch. I mean, that was crazy. It's a beautiful throw by Jalen Hurts, too, by the way, to put it into that space. And Greg Ward adjusting his body. He missed one earlier in the end zone, and he's missed a few this year in the end zone. And when the first one happened, when they targeted Greg Ward, I'm like, what's their fascination with this guy this year where they barely target him ever and they barely utilize him ever? Then, oh, here we go. Let's score a touchdown and let's go to him. Well, it ended up working out here. Hey, maybe they know something I don't know because that was a magnificent catch and great body work. Well, I'll tell you what, once they got back to their identity, which is running the football, great, no matter what your defense is. Well, this team's pretty decent at stopping the run, and they're not very good in the passing game, so let's target the pass. No. See, this is, and I'm not going to label the Eagles a good team. They're a 7-7 football team, but a part of that is because they weren't doing this. I wonder, deep down, if they established this style of run right from the jump, where would they be? Now, Jordan Howard wasn't on the team, and when you look at the finishing stats, Sanders had 18 carries for 131 yards. Jordan Howard had 15 carries for 69 yards. Jalen Hurts used his legs for 38 yards. He had a total of 334 yards. He was ridiculous, and he definitely opens that up big time. But maybe they're not 7-7. This version, this brand of we're going to run the football down your throat, I can't say that they're 7-7. Realistically, they've shown me that they're actually better than that. And the problems with what they did early on, not having the time of possession, not churning that clock left and right, not keeping the opponent's quarterbacks off to the sideline and hanging out. Maybe we're starting to look at Jonathan Taylor take over the league. We're watching this new style and this new identity, this new brand. Maybe there's something to it because we do know it's a copycat league from all angles here. Because if that's the case, if it does turn into a more running back type of league again, and at least if it does trend heavier in that direction, a quarterback with Jalen Hurts' skill set and Lamar Jackson's skill set, that only gets more intriguing and more eye-popping if that is the case. I'm not saying it 1,000% is, but you could start to see some trends here happening, and you could see teams established with, and I know the Titans lost Derrick Henry, and not every team has Derrick Henrys, but you get my point. The Cleveland Browns, when they were using Chubb and Kareem Hunt, their team had life to them, and they were winning some football games. So it's just something to keep your eye out on. Getting back to, well, this team's bad in the secondary. Forget about what the other team is not necessarily fantastic at. You know what the Eagles are great at? Regardless of what corners are playing on the opponent's side, no matter what defensive front is on, it doesn't matter. They literally destroyed the New Orleans Saints, who at the time had this historic run defense. They had this historic, it doesn't matter because they are so unbelievably good at it, and they wear you down and they force you to tackle them, and it's a hard-fought battle nonstop basically every single time they hand the ball off, that it wears them down over 60 minutes. It's a recipe for so much success. So just stay true to it. And I thought at times they were trying to play the deep ball game a little too much, trying to expose not expose Devontae Smith, but, expose some matchups with Devontae, which is fun. I'm not saying you can't use Devontae Smith. That one play where he came back towards the right sideline and he kept his 2 feet in and toe tapped it as Jalen Hurts bought some time and rolled to the right. That was great, but that was during that time frame of the game where things got ugly and going, uh-oh, here we go. But once they turned it around, I mean, it was all solid. But I do want to touch on what did disappoint me, and it just shows, though, look, big picture here, your Tuesday night, it was a recipe for disaster. You're down 10-0, flukiness involved. The Dallas Goedert play where he drops it one. I mean, come on. Dallas Goedert dropping that pass to start it off where it looked like he had a whole sea right in front. The sea was parting right in front of him. And it hits the back of his heel and goes up and Washington punches it in. Oh man, and with Jalen Hurts fumbling, and then Jalen Reagor of all people runs down the play and he forces a fumble again on that same play. Washington fumbles, they recover. It's like I'm watching, I don't know, the Friday Night Tykes. Is that the thing? What? No, that's not. That's just, I think that's like juvenile delinquents that play football or something. No, or is that just people in Texas that have Pop Warner teams that go a little too aggressive? I forget what it is. Regardless, it looked like a shit show, if I'm being honest. What's happening here? Once they settled in, and Nick Sirianni, getting in the face of Jalen Hurts, he was not happy. He was pissed off, and even stated after the game that this guy, look, he's the son of a coach. He could take it. And when some players get that burning sensation and that fuel, they just look different. We talk about the way Jalen Hurts is wired differently for a handful of reasons. A bunch of reasons. He's different. He's unique. He's got an athlete mindset that we love. And that clearly had him flip the switch, because after that, there was one other moment that Nick Sirianni was pissed off, and it seemed to be right before halftime where they were going for the 2-point conversion when they made it 10-9, and then they couldn't really get it off. They go for it anyway. And, there's an argument to be made if we're looking at clock management, time management scenarios here in this game, as I alluded to later on in that fourth quarter when they went up 10 points by making it 20-10 and all. Do you keep that timeout? You let it be a delay of game. You kick the extra point anyway. You just have faith that Jake Elliott can drill it there, which he's been awesome to this point. So why would you have any fear? And then knowing you're playing a horrendous offense in Washington, you have that extra timeout in case you tried to have another surge there after a stop or something along those lines. But, that's not the difference really in anything making or breaking you. But who knows? Maybe in another game it can be. That was a great drive. A shot to Devontae Smith one-on-one. Now that I didn't love. But from there it was Goedert for 5 yards. 3rd and 5. Goedert again as he's running to the sideline. Reagor with that nice catch where he rose up and grabbed it when Jalen Hurts had a little bit of a floater in there. Howard for a solid run for 9. Mailata had a false start, but then Goedert for a first. Darius Slay at wide receiver opens up a Sanders run. Hurts to the 1-yard line, and then Hurts punches it in for a touchdown. So just awesome there. But let's touch on some of the things I didn't necessarily love, and here's really from the first quarter. So where was it here? Okay, so Eagles on 3rd and 4 to Goedert over midfield. I have no problem with that, and they're already down 7-0 at this point, but it looks like he had Jalen Reagor wide open. You know how I think Tim McManus had one. I don't know if he had this one specifically, but it's just the circles moving. It's the graphic of the circles moving on Twitter, so it shows the play developing just with, circles with the players' numbers in it, and you can see the play. Now, that doesn't tell the full story, because the one with Devontae Smith to the right sideline, some are saying, well, if Jalen Hurts was able to get the football out sooner, maybe Devontae Smith could have just kept going straight towards the end zone. But when you watch the play, there was pressure in the pocket. He had to maneuver. He had to escape to his right and buy that time. So it doesn't tell the full-on action. So I don't think it's necessarily fully fair. I'll have to go back and look at that play. I'm not saying it's 1,000% not true. Maybe there is legitimacy to Jalen Hurts being able to get that ball to Devontae Smith earlier, and maybe it is a full-on blown touchdown if he has that arm reach to do it in that moment. But I have to go back and look at it. I don't think it was as easy as some are saying on Twitter. But with Jalen Reagor, it's possible that, with hitting Dallas Goedert over the middle there to put it over midfield, was Jalen Reagor wide open. But I find it funny because the same people that were upset at that time after seeing that graphic of saying, you got to hit Jalen Reagor there, are the same ones that were saying, never target Jalen Reagor ever again after he had those crucial major drops in previous weeks. And you hit him right on the money for a big time explosive touchdown, and it literally hit his butterfinger hands, and it's never I don't care if he's wide open ever again. And then those same people, when you see that graphic, he's wide open, you gotta hit it. just comical to me. It was tough though. It was tough. He missed Reagor. possibly a chance to do some damage there. He missed Gainwell a couple times. He missed a lot of wide open players and did not see the field well. I just wonder if it was, just pocket presence, awareness, feeling rushed, not feeling comfortable. Because let's be realistic, with this offensive line, I think I would feel okay knowing that Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson, if I'm sitting in the pocket and I'm scaling through and I'm looking through, I think I'd feel all right. So I think it was just a little bit of some jitters. But some of those were brutal. You know what else was brutal? Mark Sanchez. My Lord, should he never do another game again? During that part of the game, he's talking about Jalen Hurts. Just sensational. I literally had to tweet this out. Am I watching the same game as Mark Sanchez is? Now, he really was great. And that second half, he was eye-opening. And that's why I have faith in Jalen Hurts. Look, we've been having this debate now all season long on what Jalen Hurts is. Can you rock with him long-term? Should you have another year with him? If this is the style of Jalen Hurts that you're getting, that style of making that play to Greg Ward, hitting Dallas Goedert wide open, like those plays using his legs, that run game, if they stay true to that brand of football that they did in the second half, you look at the time of possession and the way they just mowed that clock down nonstop, and he was being timely, efficient, and he was making passes when needed to, and he was hitting play. Like, that's what you can work with. And I said, if that's what he can be consistently, take away the flukiness and that first easy touchdown, take away that. And I loved what I saw out of Jalen Hurts. And that's why I still hold this optimism of, look, utilize those draft picks to get playmakers that you could build with, cornerstone style pieces throughout your roster, and see if Jalen Hurts can keep adding on to this. And if he can after next year, then fine. But if this is what he's doing, and you got a big stretch here of not just Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. I don't really like Jonathan Gannon. I'm just going to be honest with you. I expected Gilbert to look even worse than he did today, right? I mean, let's be realistic here. And I talked about you get that interception and it sets the team up or whatnot, but Jonathan Gannon coaches soft and so soft. It's brutal. I just don't like it. I don't like it. And I have concerns about him long term. But Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, the combination of the two, have Washington, the New York Giants, Washington, and the Dallas Cowboys. That was their 4-game stretch here to see if they can squeeze into the playoffs. That's important for this learning curve and this learning season that was on what type of leadership we have at the head coach position and at the quarterback position. If you could squeak in, that tells me a lot. It does for a first year. Now, it's different if this is 4, 5, 6 years into a regime and you're just consistently, a 9-7 type team or a 9-8 type team. This isn't something that you could be satisfied with forever. But when you're set up at a 6.5 win team by Vegas, who knows more than most, and you see what they were able to do and what they were able to accomplish once they kind of worked through kinks and once they worked through a little bit of their internal issues to figure out who are we. Once they scrapped the original game plan and said that doesn't fit who we are. And Nick Sirianni talked a big game about we don't have this one system. It's let's see where we're at with our players and adapt something new. What just blows my mind is I don't know how you analyzed this team early on and didn't think of this first, but they got here. And the moral of the story is they got here. And in this league, it's difficult, it's tough, it's going to take growing pains. They did that. Now they're here. And I thought Nick Sirianni was really solid today. I mean, really good. I was very impressed by Nick Sirianni. Going back to how I was kind of talking about with 97.5 and all, my point on, I'm more intrigued than not intrigued and things of that. I thought this game was really important for me in the whole process of Nick Sirianni. So we'll see how they respond. And it's a little different, right, with Fromm and Glennon. Not that Daniel Jones is any sort of special talent, but you're playing another team that's kind of whatever. But they were also whatever with Daniel Jones, and they lost to them. So just to be fair, they did lose to the same New York Giants team with or without the quarterback. It was a beatable team regardless. If it's Daniel Jones, Mike Glennon, Fromm, doesn't matter. They're all not very good at the end of the day. We'll continue more about this. There was another drive that was Interesting. Before we do that, DeSimone Jewelers, you know that they are my friends. They're not just my friends, actually. They're my family. I got my fiance's engagement ring from there, and I continue to go back, whether it's her birthday, Valentine's Day, a random day throughout the week, just because I'm a good guy. How about that? They're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey, previously in Jewelers Row. Will, Lou, Nick, and Mike, they do an A-plus job, and they work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the market. They provide custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisals, diamond setting, and so much more. Check out their website, DeSimoneJewelers.com. Their link is in the bio down below. And you can tell them Brode sent you, and they will absolutely 1,000% hook you up because they're just great people. And they have so much. They're so passionate. We care about the Eagles. We're going nuts. People are getting shit-faced on a Tuesday to scream bonkers stuff and go nuts and fireball shots through their nose. You name it. That's how they feel about their jewelry, as they should. They educate you. It's a great experience. DeSimone Jewelers, check them out. All right, so once they got going here, they were down 10-0. This was the drive where they kicked the field goal to make it 10-3. This was in the second quarter. Hurts to Goedert, Moss Reeves with the double coverage. Sanders finds 20 yards. He kind of bounces around his lineman a bit, looks for a hole, can't find one, running into the big fellas and kind of bounces around for a 20-yard gain. Rager for a quick... So this is once they got into the end zone. You know, why is Rager your quick option here? It just feels they're trying to stress him in there and trying to force feed him at times. Now, he had one of his better days, but in all honesty, if you go back and look... I mean, we're satisfied with, 3 catches for 57 yards? And yeah, I mean, it's not a horrendous day at the office by any means, but is the bar so low that we're taking this to another level? My point is, you're in the red zone, and there's an opportunity here. I just don't understand why on first down it's let's get it to Jalen Reagor when you think of Miles Sanders, when you think of Jordan Howard, if you wanted to take it a different route, while you have Dallas Goedert and you have Devontae Smith. It's just Rager's not the guy I'm looking at on first down and go. It seems like they're trying to force feed it to him. Sanders, they went for him on second down. So at that point, why not maybe Howard, right? So I'm just saying there are questions that you could have. On first down, I don't mind Sanders. Second down, you're going to maybe start playing that punch game, that physicality game. Maybe you go to Jordan Howard to pick up some tough yards. And then third down, you're double to Devontae Smith. You go with that field goal attempt. I don't know. Could you have played that sequence out a little bit? And especially when that's following the debacle that was an Opeta holding drive, a Jordan Mailata holding drive. And then here you go. They were at the 41-yard line, just to add more fuel to the fire. And while I'm happy and very excited about their effort tonight, I don't want to... I don't want this to be like, why are you focusing on I'm just analyzing what I saw throughout the entire game. And it was really ugly early where there was one sequence where they were on the 41-yard line and they ended up punting it instead of going for it on fourth down. It goes into the end zone. And it was a 20-yard punt by the end of it because it goes in the end zone. We're talking about a 20-yard punt. At that point, you might as well have some balls, go for it. And keep in mind, at this point, you're down 10-0. So the vibes are already disgusting and bad. What are you doing? You're afraid of Gilbert? Is that what it is? No, you're not afraid of Gilbert. Your fourth quarter sequence proves exactly. You're not afraid of him. So it was just a little bit of some bizarreness. But they all turned the page there, and that's what matters most. They saw ugliness, and it looked like they weren't prepared. You know what, though? Well, I don't know if it was a lack of prepare. It was like a lack of execution. I liked the concepts of some things. I know I pointed out some things I didn't like, but I liked some concepts of some things. The lack of execution really made some of it uglier than what it really was. What it did look like, remember at the beginning of the season, there were a ton of penalties, sloppy with some holding calls and shooting yourselves in the foot consistently, turning the ball over. It had that feel, no? Where they didn't play a lot of preseason, so they weren't really, engaged physically, engaged mentally. It takes a bit of time, a few weeks. That's why when Tom Brady and the Patriots every year, it's, they're 2-2, they're done. No, they're not. It's just them kind of getting accustomed to it. Then they go off and win X amount of games in a row. The Kansas City Chiefs this year, dealing with that a little bit. With, oh my God, this team's miserable. Well, they're kind of figuring it out a little bit and creating who they are again. It seemed like in this game, more of a vacuum conversation, but using that to apply way to where we are right now in this specific game? Well, it's been a while. They had double-digit amount of days off, weird Tuesday, your whole entire flow of your week is messed up. Even me, I can only imagine what it's like being a player out there. Me, I'm messed up. What day is it? What week is it? When's Christmas? When do I have work? What do I have to talk about? What's the sports schedule? So after a pretty much a quarter and a half, they flipped it around. They started milking the clock, running the football, and dominating. But to kind of utilize that as an example of what it felt like, I think that's kind of a perfect type of description, if you will. So all around, you're at 7-7. This was a playoff game. You needed to win this game. And yeah, now this opens up a big-time discussion of what the hell was that, right? Or what the hell is next? Now that that's over, what is next? Now, and I'm just going to look here on Twitter to see, before we shut things down, did anything pop off with any of these interviews or any of these news on whatnot, on what happened, and doesn't really seem that way. Dallas Goedert. Looks like he's dressed like an elf. I don't see anything that's eye-popping to me. The Eagles outgained Washington 519 to 237. That's 282 yard advantage. It's the Eagles' largest since 356 in a 38-3 win at the Link on opening day in 2008. Over their last 7 games, the Eagles are outrushing their opponents 1501 to 554. That's wild. That's wild. That's wild. That is wild. Unreal. Well, that's where we're going to kind of shut things down here. We'll obviously continue the conversation. The Anytime hotline call is 856-442-9805. We'll do a podcast and react to those as well in the very short future here. So if you did not call in yet, make sure you take advantage of that. And yeah, we'll definitely continue some conversation if I missed on anything, or once we start watching some of the tape again to dive into some awesome sequences, whether it's Jackson on the defensive line. Jannard Avery had a big jump there that people thought was questionable and offsides, but who knows? It was pretty damn close, all of that. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you next time.